Hey guys, welcome back to Team Act 200. This is our Sprint 5 demo. For this sprint, our problem space has been the same, which is to only focusing on small, not popular events or one-time events happening at Georgia Tech campus. Our goal is to streamline the process of collecting information about small events happening on Georgia Tech campus and presenting it in an organized manner so that the user can make a quick decision about what they want to do. For our use cases, as an organizer, I want to create events, add details, and also delete events. As a participant, I want to check multiple events, filter to specific events, and also save events. And as both organizer and a participants, I want to be able to log in and log out of the app.
Okay, now let's go to the user testing. We have a lot of questions to answer. The first part is about the second platform. Like we want to create a checker or to-do list for the on the Apple Watch. But do people really need Apple Watch app? And how is our usability of the design? Also, we will talk about our mobile app MVP. Like we have a fully functional mobile app, but how is our functionality? How is the usability? Like, can people navigate through the app easily? And how is the performance? Is the delay annoying? And how is the design? Like, we have two choices. We have two choices about the color, the green and the yellow. We will use A/B testing to find out which one is better. And for security concern, we will also investigate that topic. To conduct valid user testing, we just stand on tag green and we show our app to people who walk by, just random people, and we ask them to give us some feedback. Finally, we got 11 valid response, and now let me show you the results. For the second platform, let me first briefly introduce about the feature. It's very easy. Like when you want to check what's the upcoming events in the next 7 days, you just open your Apple Watch and you can scroll it down. There are a lot of cards, and each card is for one event. It's like a to-do list, not a notification. So our first question is, do people really need to check events on a watch, or maybe they prefer to check the events on their mobile phone? There are all kinds of scenarios. When they're pocketing the phone, when they got their phone in the pocket, there's no clear preference. Like some people prefer to use the watch, some people prefer to use the phone. However, if the phone is on the table, people can just see it and grab it, and people may get more information on the phone when they're checking events. So they prefer to use the phone. However, some people, even yourself, don't know where you put the phone, right? You have to spend some time to find it. In this scenario, people prefer to use the Apple Watch. For each question, if people choose Apple Watch, we add a +1, and if people choose phone, we -1. Finally, we got overall score above 0, which means people do have the preference to use the Apple Watch, which validates our guess. And the second question is about usability. Like, can people easily check the events on the Apple Watch? Well, clearly, of course, yes. Because our design is quite simple. We try to keep it very, very simple. Like, because the screen is really small, so we ignore a lot of redundant parts, such as the image or the tag of the events. We only keep the title and the time. Most people, like 10 out of 11, agree that, okay, our app is easy to navigate. Now let's talk about our mobile app MVP. The first part I want to talk about is the functionality and the usability. There are two main features we just mentioned about our app, which is create events and find the events you want. So we just give the app to the interviewee and give them two tasks. The first task is to like, okay, imagine that you are a club leader and you want to maybe do a movie night today, and now please create events on the phone. And then we ask them to rate, okay, how easily do you think to create these events? And then we also ask them to find, like, you just scroll down every events on the homepage, or you can use search function, like try to find the try to find events you are interested in, and rate how easily to find it. Finally, we got the average score above 3, like 5 is the best, 1 is the worst, and we got average above 3, which means people do satisfied with our app. Like as you can see in the pie chart, most people, like about half people, choose 5 or 4, which is a positive feedback, and less than 1/4 people choose the like kind of negative feedback, which is 1 or 2, which means people are pretty satisfied with our usability. Now let's talk about our performance. Sometimes if your design is pretty redundant, the phone will be really slow and the delay is very annoying. So we want to find out how is our performance for this app. After they did the task we mentioned in the previous slides, we will ask them to rate about their feeling about the delay, the responsiveness. 1 is for good, and 0 is for fair, and negative 1 is bad. And finally, we got our average as a positive value, which is about 0. That means our users are pretty satisfied with our performance. I think that's an expected value because we have an interesting feature implemented in our code. We'll talk more about it in our code review. Then let's talk about our A/B testing on the color. Like now we have 2 choices. Should we choose green as our major color or the golden yellow as our major color? The color design is very important. There are 2 major effects. The first one is about emotional. The green may make people feel fresh and calm and harmony. However, the yellow could make people feel happy and warm and energetic. Which one do people prefer? Like we want to test it by A/B testing. Also, it has some effects on the usability. Like sometimes green is easier for people to navigate through, like to help them find their interested events, and sometimes yellow is better at this job. We are not quite sure which one is better, so we ask our user to decide it for us. We designed this kind of questions in the, like as we demonstrated on the slides. You may check it, and you can also check the bar graph here. Finally, the score of green is more like it's far. It's like it dominates the number of yellow. As you can see, more people prefer to use the green. So, well, we choose green. We finally choose green as our major color. And finally, let's talk about the security. In the last sprint, we had some suggestion for like some people suggest us to use the Firebase to handle the user login system. Well, that is because Firebase provides a known safe implementation of the login system. That's more from the security. That's more for security concern. However, we choose to do our own database. Because there's kind of advantage. It helps us to keep the architecture as simple as possible, and to make the database consistent because we don't need 2 databases. And since there's no connection and communication between our database and another database, we have better performance because there's no such delay. However, is our implementation secure enough? Well, the answer is yes. We use, like the technology we use is called Bscript password encoder from Spring Boot. It is Spring Boot is a very famous framework, or you can say library, and this method is embedded in the framework. It could hash your password, and if you try to decode the cipher, well, it may take about hundreds of years, which is kind of impossible for today's technology. Moreover, we use the token to improve the user's experience. Token is something like a cookie in the browser. If you log in once, you don't have to log in every time. So it helps user to feel better about our app. They don't have to log in once again and again every time they open the app. That's for our user testing.
This is our business model canvas. We've updated the parts in key partners, customer segments, and several other parts too, and they're highlighted in the picture.
Info to be learned and questions to be asked is how to improve essential features like event details and events display. We plan to improve by doing more user research and testing to understand users' real needs. So for the next learning prototype, some important features we want to do for the future is notifications for the events app, and also add Firebase authentication to to enable user login. And we also want to find some sponsor for the advertisement. Then we want to able to show the organizer how many participants will attend the events.
So now I'll go over the backend architecture, the front-end data flow, and the code review. So our front-end data flow, we have the main homepage here, and from the main homepage you can see all the events and also click on an event to get the details about the event. Next, we also have a navigation bar on the homepage, which takes you to the navigation page. And if you're organizer, you have three options. You have created events page, saved event page, and login option. So if you're just a participant, you don't have the created event page option. For the created events page, you can see all the events you have created and also create new ones. And before creating a new event, you can also preview the event, which is going to show you how it's going to look before the event is posted. For the saved events page, you're going to have every events that you have saved there. For the login or sign up option, you can either just log in or you have an option to sign up, which is going to take you to a sign up page. On the main homepage, we also have a search bar, which takes you to the search page, which lets you search for a specific event. You also have filter option, which takes you to a filtering page where you can filter by event categories such as like outdoor, indoor, or if the event is for undergrads, grads. So this is our entity relationship diagram for the backend, where we have four entities, which is account, participant, organizer, and event. For the account, we have the ID as a primary key, and we also have username, password, and is organizer boolean. So if an account is organizer, then the account can create an event. But if account is a participant, then it can save the event. A person can be both participant and an organizer. Now let's go over the code review. So this is our GitHub repo, and we have two of the main folders, which is the front end and the back end. In the front end folders, these are just the standard stuff we have from the Flutter, and all of the code is going to be in the lib folder. So how we have decided to like split up the code is that for each page that we see is going to have like its own file. So you start with the main events page. So for the events page, we first fetch all the events from the database, and then we view those events on the screen. Second file we have is the events detail page. This is going to be activated when you click on the event on the home page, and once you click on it, it's going to display all the details about the event. The next thing we have is the create event page. For the create event page, we take all the user input and we make a post request to post the event information on the backend. Similarly, we have the login page, we also have the saved events page, and we have the search page, which contains the code for the search and the filtering. Now I'll go over the actual app, and as you can see, this is the homepage of the app where you can see all the events. Right now we don't have actual events because we're just testing it, and from the homepage you can click on an event and you can get the information, and you have this star icon to save the event. And this is the navigation bar in the event where you have 3 options, and since the user is an organizer, we have the created events option too. For the login page, is simply you can log in or you can sign up. For the created events page, right now this user hasn't created any events, so it's not displaying anything, but you can create a new event which is gonna let you put in all these fields and preview the event and then create. The user also have a saved events options, but since the user hasn't saved any events, we cannot really see anything here. And back to the home screen, we have the search options, which lets you search for a specific event. And we also have the filter option, which lets you filter an event by the categories like social, sports, and also degree restriction, as in like if it's an undergrad event, a PhD event, or like it's open for all.
Okay, welcome to the code review of our Apple Watch, our second platform. As you can see here, you can scroll down to check the events in the next 7 days. And there's one interesting implementation of this design. Due to the limitation of the screen size, as you know, like Apple Watch has very limited screen. However, how can we put so many events in such a small screen? Well, thanks to the scroll view, it allows me, like, first I used OOP to design the objects of events, and then I also use OOP to design the event card. So we have a card for each event. However, we want to show them in one screen in the scroll down menu. So we use the scroll view and a vertical stack to list all these events. That's very interesting design about our second platform.
Thank you, guys.